Today, I am going to explain a horror, thriller, drama movie called Countdown. We start the movie at a party, where a group of friends are having drinks and discuss how veganism is bad and restricts your freedom to eat. One girl shows her calorie counting app, so Rachel decides to download it as well. She downloads the wrong app and they all decide to get it, as the app says it will show them what time exactly they will die. Courtney says she doesn't want mess with Faith, so she won't download an app like that. Rachel calls her a biatch, and that is enough to make her quit her principles. They all got many years left to live, but Courtney's phone says she's got only 3 hours left. Nobody takes it seriously, except for her of course. She decides to not sit in the car with her drunk boyfriend, Evan, and chooses to walk instead. Evan speeds off, when she gets a notification, saying that she broke the user agreement. Only 7 minutes left on the counter and she gets more and more worried, as a suspicious man starts following her. Don't worry, he was only there to make her more paranoid. Only 2 minutes left on the counter, when she quickly gets inside her house, where she shuts down her phone. She hears weird noises in the bathroom and her phone screams at her. She gets sucked up by something, and drops dead exactly when the timer hits 0. We switch to Evan, who had a car accident. A branch impaled the seat where Courtney would have been sitting. We then get introduced to Quinn, a nurse who treats patients in the hospital, Evan included. He shows Quinn the app, which says only 19 hours left for him to live. He explains how Courtney died, and how the app was responsible for it. We learn that 19 hours later, the surgery is going to take place and he will die in the procedure. Quinn reassures him that the app has nothing to do with life or death. It was made by some Discord mod in a basement. The hospital staff prepares a small party for Quinn, for passing her test. Scott murders the cake and they start a conversation about the app. Dr. Sullivan and Scott learns that they have many years ahead of them, when a junkie bursts in with an overdosed woman. They save her life and we switch to the end of Quinn's shift. She downloads the app as well, and accepts the user agreement. It says she has only 2 days and 22 hours left to live. Dr. Sullivan comes in the elevator, invites her for dinner, but she refuses. She visits her parents' house to grab her birth certificate. She hears the wardrobe's door moving, so she checks it out. She finds her sister, Jordan, hiding in there with a half-naked boy. We learn that Quinn didn't win the Best Sister award, as she haven't seen Jordan for months. Quinn's dad enters the scene where we learn that their mother is dead. Evan is about to enter surgery, when his phone screams, telling him he has only 3 minutes left to live and that he broke the user agreement. He looks in the mirror, and sees the app developer standing behind him. The mirror breaks, so he panics and locks himself in the stairwell. Courtney appears there, with her new makeup, and throws Evan down the stairs, killing him as the timer hits 0. Quinn gets to work and learns that Evan died. The nurses think he jumped because of depression. Quinn then steals his phone, and I shit you not, she tries to unlock it with his corpse's fingerprint. The method isn't working, so she decides to force open his eyes, and unlock it with Face ID. She then calls her dad and tells him that the weekend picnic is cancelled, as her timer would run out at that time. She then passes by a room, and sees the Grim Reaper for a second. Dr. Sullivan invites her to do some work, when she goes haywire. The doctor confronts her like a true Redditor and tries to force himself on her. Quinn wants to talk to Nurse Amy about what happened, but Dr. Sullivan calls her away. When she gets home, she tries to delete the app, but it is impossible. She looks the app up on the internet and finds other people talking about the same experience she had. There's even video documentation of it, but Google is too busy demonetizing videos on YouTube. They don't have time to delete apps from the Play Store. Evan appears on her bed for a second, and she gets so scared, she sleeps in her car instead. Jordan wakes her up in the morning. She finds her phone and sees the app. They get into an argument about how shitty big sister she is, so Jordan leaves. The next day, she goes to a phone store and buys a new mobile. She checks the apps on the phone and gets relieved that the Countdown app isn't on it. She is about to exit when the Scream notification pops up and the app reinstalls itself. She sees the man in black in the reversing camera again, when the dev grabs her from behind. She steps on the gas and hits a man's car. The damage is so horrible that they can't even show us. The guy gets angry and questions the women, when the guy who overheard the conversation in the store, comes out and tells him to piss off. The guy of course leaves, even though he had every right to demand compensation for the damage. Matt then shows her his phone, with 18.5 hours left on the counter. They sit down in a bar to drink, when they get the idea to read the user agreement, since they forgot to do it the first time. They convince a flat earther to download the app, so they can read it. The guy is about to accept it, when they stop him and do a very relatable joke about how you should never accept terms and conditions without reading them. They figure out that the app is not killing them, they would have died anyway, the app just shows them the exact time. But, if they try to alter fate, and change plans, cancel events etc., to avoid death, they break the user agreement and death comes for them. They head to the hospital and ask the local child molester to help them, as they believe a demon is behind this app. He gives them a name and address, as he thinks demons are not real. Nurse Amy calls Quinn aside, so Matt visits the bathroom. A barefoot kid tries to take a peek, but Matt tells him the priest is next door. When he washes his hands, he sees that the kid must be a ghost, because he can walk through walls. The lights go out, as the demon likes to spice things up before murdering someone. Matt's dead brother jumps at him, but a man enters the toilet and the kid disappears. Dr. Sullivan played the reverse Uno card and told the management that Quinn cornered him the other day. She tries to clean the air when Nurse Amy asks why didn't she go to her if this really happened. Quinn gets angry and tells her she already tried. Once. Second attempts, talking with someone else or sending an email must be a paid DLC in this hospital. They go to the church and discover Father John listening to Lil Nas X. Father John is a big fan of demons and got into the business just because of them. He explains them how Ocean, the demon, works. If you change your fate, Ocean will torment you right until the moment you die. The father tells them he needs to see the code of the app to be sure it is Ocean. So Quinn goes online to look for a hacker, who might be able to get the source code of the app. Just kidding. They head back to the phone store and ask the owner if he can hack the app. It turns out, jailbreaking a phone means he can hack into apps as well. They offer him 2 credit cards to skip his Tinder date and help them instead. The guy types in one word and they are already in, beating even NCIS hackers. The app is 60 gigabytes, because it stores every person's countdown on every phone. Which makes me wonder, where can I get mobile data that downloads this app in a few seconds, like everyone did in the movie? Derek changes everyone's countdown data, starting with Jordan's. She gets the notification but the lady who takes care of Jordan takes her phone away. Quinn and Matt say goodbye as they solve the mystery, but Quinn asks him to sleep at her place as she wants to have company for the night. Matt tells his brother's story, how he died and how Matt stole a toy dinosaur from his dying brother. Quinn counters with the story of how her mother died in a car accident. The discussion gets competitive but Quinn breaks it with inviting him to sleep on the bed. Later, the light goes out, and Quinn sees someone entering the room. Matt opens the door and Quinn realizes she was cuddled by the demon, how nice of him. They then get a notification, showing that the hack didn't work and the timer is back to the original. She tries to call Jordan, but her phone is in the old lady's bedroom. She takes it, when the demon touches her from behind. She closes her door, but the demon opens it. She hides under her bed, when she hears her dead mom calling out for her. The bed gets removed Sim style and her mother appears next to her for a second. Matt and Quinn gets there and they rush to Father John, who is in the middle of children's ministry lesson. Sorry, last church joke, I promise. He reads the Latin texts in the code and gets excited as he believes it's only a curse. He says Satan is the father of lies and all you have to do is to prove he is a liar. The plan is to keep one of them alive and beating the clock by 1 second. Father John wants to make a huge salt circle and bless it, to keep the demon away. They head to Riot Games headquarters to obtain the salt. They mix it with paint, so the demon won't be able to blow it away. Matt has only 2 minutes left and gets a panic attack. Quinn kisses him to activate Neuron. The lights go out and they get in the circle. Ocean appears but he can't enter the circle, as his clothes burn as soon as he touches it. Matt starts to hallucinate and grabs the toy dinosaur he stole from Jeff when he was a kid. Jeff appears and wants his toy back, but he steps back when Matt tries to give it to him. Of course, Jeff is the demon and fools Matt into stepping out of the circle. Ocean grabs his leg and drags him outside. Quinn goes after him, but by the time she gets there, a car hits him. He dies exactly when the timer hits 0. Quinn confronts Jordan when she realizes she is bleeding heavily. They get her to the hospital, when one of the nurses stops Quinn and tells her she went through the same crap with Dr. Sullivan and she's ready to take action. They have 17 and 15 minutes left to live, but Quinn gets an idea and leaves Jordan there. She enters Dr. Sullivan's office and hits on him. She tells him to meet her at the closed wing of the hospital. Dr. Sullivan turns into Monkey and decides to fulfill his desire to reproduce. He follows her to the closed wing, where Quinn plays a little game with him. Quinn hits him several times with a crowbar. She plans to kill him to break the curse. She knows he also downloaded the app and if he dies before his time, the curse will break. She's about to inject him with morphine when the demon takes him away to save his life. Dr. Sullivan attacks Quinn, but she performs the Nutcracker and delivers a sick catchphrase. "You go girl." The demon defends Sullivan again and yeets Quinn. She then grabs a needle, marker and drugs and go look for Jordan, who has only 1.5 minutes left to live. The demon then grabs Jordan and shows her how nicely the other room is decorated. Quinn is about to inject something into her veins to kill herself, when the demon transforms into her mother and tries to fool her. The demon forgets he can easily move objects and people, just like a Jedi, so he lets Quinn inject the fluid, instead of taking the needle out from her hands. We see the curse break, as the demon turns into ashes. Jordan is mourning her sister when she finds instructions on Quinn's body to inject Narcan into her veins. Quinn wakes up like nothing happened. The family visits the grave of their mother and Jordan tells them the news about Dr. Sullivan's arrest. Dad leaves when Quinn gets another notification about Countdown 2.0. The demon must have learned a lot of coding in hell. This was Countdown from 2019.